I watched the first 3 episodes of Critical Role's The Legend of Vox Machina 3 times. Spoiler warning for the first 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina. It took me some time to figure out what exactly wasn't hitting right for me. I thought these initial 3 episodes were overall okay, with some strong standouts along with a bunch of issues. In episode 1, we're introduced to Vox Machina after a nice Fellowship of the Ring fake-out, in what better place for a D&D origin story but a brutal tavern brawl, along with some upstairs extracurricular activity. The first 2 episodes are their own arc, The Terror of Tal'Dorei, being both an introduction to our mercenary group Vox Machina and a retelling of their hunt and battle with the Blue Dragon Brimscythe. And it's 100% pure fan service, and something really cool for Critical Role, the company, and for fans to finally see it all realized. I definitely can't deny that. If you're coming in as a longtime critter, or even a newer critter, and you just want to see something cool from your favorite streaming D&D show starring some nerdy-ass voice actors, you're going to enjoy The Legend of Vox Machina's first 3 episodes. If The Legend of Vox Machina is your first foray into Critical Role, as mentioned, Critical Role is a Dungeons & Dragons show that streams on YouTube and Twitch. They've had 2 full campaigns and are currently 11 episodes into Campaign 3, and think campaigns as seasons that last a few years with episodes around 4 hours each, give or take. Personally, I'm neither of these people. If you check out my channel, I covered up until recently every episode of their new season of Campaign 3. I fell behind because of getting COVID and the YouTube grind in general. Staying up until 3 in the morning to watch a 4-hour show and making a video the next morning kind of took its toll, but I digress. I found Critical Role about 5 years ago with the Critical Role Across Kinda Funny one-shot, and over the next few years, I enjoyed more of their one-shots here and there until finally the COVID lockdown. I said, what the hell, I have a lot of free time at home, let's start a Critical Role campaign. I went with Campaign 2 because it was ongoing, and the rest is kind of history. So that's where I'm coming from. A fan who has minimal experience with Campaign 1 and these characters, other than some clips here and there and some reading of wikis. And I'm just a fan who enjoys critiquing the media I consume, so I'm not going to sugarcoat any of my feelings here. I hope you can appreciate that. The Legend of Vox Machina. The Legend of Vox Machina has started off messy, to say the least. The Terror of Tal'Dorei, the 2-part arc episodes 1 and 2, is where I feel the majority of my issues stem from. After that brutal tavern scene filled with dismemberment, puking, swearing, and sex, the group is thrown out and we watch Keyleth, a character, mind you, we've just barely met, contemplating why this group is even together. I found this a bit odd, since I have no concept of Vox Machina at this point, their personalities, who Keyleth is, and why she would be thinking this. This felt like a scene that would hit harder had it been a little bit more down the line, when we know the group a bit more, but there are some problems. Pacing issues. Fan service over development. The first 2 episodes move way too fast. I don't know why they chose this way to start off the series, honestly. Yes, longtime fans may have loved seeing this arc that never aired in Campaign 1. When Critical Role first started streaming, they had already been playing the campaign as a home game. So in the first episode of the show, they're already actually at level 9, and they actually started their very first session at level 3. So this is 6 levels into the game already. But in my opinion, 2 episodes was not enough to tell this story. These episodes fly through the plot in just 2 sub-half-hour episodes. It was like, bam, Vox Machina. Bam, fight a dragon. Bam, some kids die. Now we're meeting Gilmore. Before you know it, we're back to fighting the dragon. And he's dead. I know this story was restricted to 2 episodes, but all that didn't really leave much for character development, which I feel is huge. The fact that Amazon picked up this for 2 seasons tells me that they believe that it'll draw in a larger audience. We've seen surprising success with Western animation of late. Netflix's Castlevania was fantastic. More recently, Netflix's Arcane was a big hit. And yes, I realize the animation studio is French, but The Legend of Vox Machina's poor pacing, lack of character development, and some issues I'll get into next wasn't a great introduction for a series. Had I known nothing about Critical Role, I don't know if I would have continued past episode 2. For comparison's sake, Netflix's Castlevania starts out as a bit of a slow burn. We meet Lisa, who is looking to Dracula to learn science and medicine so she can help people. Pretty quickly, the show moves forward in time to Christians burning Lisa at the stake for her devil engines in her home. Science and tools, basically. Dracula, coming back from a long journey on foot as he's been living his life as a human, finds that his home is burned down, his wife has been burned to death, and he basically threatens the people of Targoviste. Make your amends, or in 1 year, I'm gonna murder everyone. In just a single episode, we see believable character development from Dracula. When we meet him, he's cocky and charming. He meets a woman and falls in love and decides to live a normal human life with her. When he finds out what other humans have done to his love, we see rage in the purest of forms. Dracula is now the big bad that humanity should fear. The very end of this episode is when we finally meet Trevor Belmont, the main protagonist of the series. And stretching this out to compare to 3 episodes, over the next 2 we basically get to know Trevor. He's a drunken wanderer with a sense of honor and justice, but he cares about people. He doesn't want people to die from Dracula's night terrors. And throughout we even get quips of comedy from Trevor, some good action, and by the end of the 3rd episode we're introduced to another main character, Sypha. And yeah, I mentioned episodes 2 and 3 are a bit of a slow burn, as a lot of time is spent with Trevor just walking around the city, but I got to know and care about him. The Legend of Vox Machina just blows through the Brim Scythe plot with little room to breathe. And I've seen a few comments around the internet that, oh, well, plan for these episodes changed due to Kickstarter or Amazon or because of restrictions or whatever. But I don't want to hear about this. This is entertainment. Make a good product. While that might be fine for critters, newcomers aren't going to care about the backstory of how it was developed or produced. Like, is the product good? Am I enjoying my time with it? If these answers are no, see ya. There are plenty of other shows to check out. And yes, The Legend of Vox Machina deals with way more main characters, so maybe there wasn't a perfect way to do this, but I don't know, I feel like after 2 episodes I didn't really know any of them. Now, majority of these first 2 episodes focuses on my next issue, comedy. It's just not landing for me. I don't have a problem with comedy in a serious story. It's honestly one of the reasons why I enjoy anime so much, as I find it has fantastic comedic relief. But Vox Machina goes real deep with Scanlan and Grog. Scanlan. Yes, Scanlan is a bard and he will play music and sing, but what we get in the animated series I found sort of odd. Scanlan many times bursts into an extremely vulgar, fully produced song, backing band and all. I don't think this is part of bard magic either. I went and listened to a few of Scanlan's songs from Campaign 1 and they're funny because Sam Riegel is great at improv.
Shut up and shoot that hole. Your arrow is my destiny.
The sequences in the animated show kind of reminded me of Animaniacs. Some episodes they kind of randomly burst into a song, like the President's Song or Wacko's 50 State Capitals, for example. Grog. Grog is hilarious in Campaign 1. He's a dumb brute, but there are times that he's literally had me dying, and this is coming from someone who has really just watched clips over the years that are out of context. In the animated series, and this is with Scanlan as well, they turn his attributes not up to just 11, but like 20. Grog is really, really dumb and childlike. Now, there were some legit funny moments.
Buddy, we could be drunk for weeks!
Days even!
But a lot of it missed for me. It left me wondering, who exactly is this show for? Is it just for Critical Role? Is it for just critters? Is it supposed to pull in a larger audience? A mixture of crude and vulgar language and sex mixed with children's cartoon-level jokes leaves The Legend of Vox Machina in a weird place for me. I mean, I have no problem with the vulgarity and the sex stuff. I mean, this is meant for adults, right? I just honestly think the writing is bad for the comic relief, especially. I touched on my next point already with Grog a bit, voiceover performance. I know the cast of Critical Role are all professional, nerdy-ass voice actors, but, well, American voice acting, typically anime dubs, I hate. And these issues with anime dubs that I usually have are out in full force with The Legend of Vox Machina. Don't get me wrong, there are some strong performances so far. Vex, Vax, and Percy, Laura Bailey, Liam O'Brien, and Taliesin Jaffe, respectively. I really enjoyed. Everyone else, not so much. Ashley Johnson's Pike is fine enough, I guess. Pike sort of reminds me of that weird JRPG character in your party. You know the one, crazy voice, some sort of anthropomorphic cat or flying fox. I think the character of Pike so far is more of an issue for me. She's just a little bit forgettable. Marisha Ray's Keyleth. I'm not really digging Marisha's voiceover performance. The acting feels forced, which is a big reason why I usually don't like dubbed animation.
Maybe we're not really meant to do this.
Keyleth is coming off as a scared of everything and unsure of her powers type girl. I guess I'll just have to wait and see how she develops. Travis Willingham's Grog. Boy, this is a big disappointment for me. I love Travis Willingham and his voices and acting on Critical Role proper. Bertrand Bell, Chetney Pakapi, and Ford are all fantastic performances by Travis. There's something about the changes in the animated show made to Grog, though. He sort of became a caricature of himself. Not just in his antics, but in the way his voice and his lines are delivered.
Right. Can you pick me up a sandwich on the way back?
I thought Grog would be one of my favorites, but he's nearly at the bottom, only leaving that spot for Sam Riegel's Scanlan Shorthalt. I hate Scanlan. He's awful. This is really my first encounter with him, and I have to ask, was he this over the top in Campaign 1? Everything is vulgar and a joke with Scanlan. I have seen a lot of comments saying that, well, Scanlan really develops soon and becomes less comedic relief. Okay, I mean, let's see where this goes for the rest of Season 1, but Scanlan himself is kind of ruining my enjoyment of the show. Some of this goes on the writing. The songs, I said it before, they're vulgar and miss the comedy mark, for me at least, but the timing is bad too. Look at episode 3. The whole group, minus Scanlan, are battling with the Briarwoods. At this point, I'm really into it. I'm finally feeling hooked on the show. Silas's blade grew with a taste of blood. Lady Briarwood disarms Percy and knocks him down along with Keyleth and Vex. Boom. Quick cut to Scanlan singing about anal beads. Like, come on, man. There's a time and place for comedic relief. This almost ruined a really engaging battle for me. But alas, my main issue isn't even with the songs. It's with Sam Riegel. Let me preface this by saying that I love Sam Riegel as not the Brave in Campaign 2. Sam's performance, voice, and improv chops are fantastic. But Sam's voice acting in the animated series is just terrible. Every time he speaks, it sounds like he's just reading lines.
Thanks for the sweet ride. You'll be back to pick us up later, right? Yeah, she'll be back.
It's another major problem I have with a lot of dubbed anime. It's just poor acting. Over-the-top performances, kind of an attempt to match the Japanese voiceover, and other times it's just straight-up voices that don't fit the character at all.
Oh man, I thought I was okay and then it came back.
Scanlan overall, with all these issues I've mentioned, is almost enough for me to stop watching the show. It's been really that bad for me. I'm glad the show started to pull everything together in episode 3 with Percy and the Briarwood arc that is introduced, and I was just about ready to call it a day with my review and thoughts of the first 3 episodes, but then something happened. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I saw Talison's tweet about how awesome the Japanese voiceover is. A Japanese dub, you ask? And the Japanese dub of The Legend of Vox Machina just hits different for me. I didn't even think to check out if there was a Japanese dub, but it's kind of wild. It completely changed my view on the series. I'm sort of shocked.
How's anyone supposed to get drunk from these days?
I'm pretty sure they're just fancy shots, Grog. 2 for you, and 3 for me.
こんなもんで誰がどう酔っ払うってんだよ。
きっとこれ高い酒なのよ、グロッグ。あんたは2杯、そして私は3杯。
The dub vs sub battle, I guess, will always rage on. Are you okay reading subtitles? Are you okay with a sometimes completely adjusted tonal shift? A translation dub is a pretty aggressive change to the source material. As I mentioned before, for me it's an issue with poor acting, odd voice choices, and tonal changes, often coming off to me as cheesy. I always go with a sub with a handful of exceptions. Cowboy Bebop, probably the perfect dub ever created. Trigun, the main cast is fantastic. Yu Yu Hakusho, great, if not dated a little bit, but my preferred voices. And to a lesser extent, Dragon Ball Z is good in English, but I still prefer the original Japanese. Kind of the same thing with Rurouni Kenshin. But my mind was blown rewatching these episodes in Japanese. I always find that the Japanese voice actors are better at the acting part, if that makes sense. I don't know what it is with the English voiceover. Maybe this is just sacrilegious, but now I'm really excited to watch the rest of the season in Japanese. Grog's voice is so much better. Like, the character, minus the dumb sandwich scene, hits completely different. He reminds me a bit more of how Grog is in actual Campaign 1. Granted, my experience is some clips here and there. But now I like the character. Scanlan is still Scanlan, but the actor portraying him is better than Sam Riegel, if not attempting to do kind of a Sam voice impression. I still hate the character right now, but he's been bumped up to tolerable. I just didn't expect this to be the case. I'll give my review score for the whole season when it's finished, but watching the Japanese VO kind of bumped the first 2 episodes up from bad to okay for me. And I think the casting for Vax, Vex, and Percy are also done really well.
何がどうなってるんだ。どういうこと、パーシー、何してるの。
バカなやつめ。これでお前の魂は没収だ。
That being said, the first 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina leans heavily on the bad side of the scale for me, which is really disappointing. I feel like a lot of what I've watched lately for my channel has been subpar, and I was really looking forward to enjoying my time with The Legend of Vox Machina. And maybe I still will, honestly. I mean, we have 9 more episodes left, and episode 3 kind of turned it around for me. But I think of new first-time viewers. Did they make it through episode 3? Did they turn it off after a scene with Scanlan going down on a pink woman? Or maybe it was the anal bead song that got them to bounce. The pacing issues in the first 2 episodes, along with, well, bad writing, poor implementation of comedy, poor voice acting, and bad CGI, that dragon was terrible, was a lot to swallow to get the beginning of what looks like an awesome arc with the Briarwoods. But a new show needs to hook its viewers quickly. Had the series started out with episode 3, I think this is a completely different story. Reviews seem very positive if you look around, lots of 5 stars, but these seem to be coming from super excited critters or Kickstarter backers loving their return to Vox Machina. The bad reviews seem to be from first-timers, and had the series started with Percy's Nightmare? Man, this could have been something special. And I mean for the show as a whole. New viewers, hype, all of that. I guess we still have 9 more episodes to see how this all plays out. I think the Terror of Tal'Dorei would have been an awesome 90-minute feature, not necessarily associated with Season 1, because it kind of messed up the pacing in exchange for pure fan service. But of course, I'm just one guy who likes to give his opinions on YouTube and on his blog. Let me know what you thought of the first 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina. I'm really curious if you've watched Campaign 1, if this story is new to you, or if you've never watched Critical Role at all. So let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more videos like this one. And until next time, see ya.